Warhammer 40,000 has been one of my greatest passions for pretty much as long as I can remember. I remember getting a tiny little ultramarine and painting it exceedingly badly when I was about 6 or 7. And since that day, I've been fully hooked into the Warhammer 40,000 lore and game, and I spent a lot of my childhood playing that damn game and spending way too much money on it. And that has continued into my adult life, and I've spent countless hours and countless amounts of money on this plastic crack addiction. I have been searching for a 40k game that I can get into and absolutely love for ages, and I feel like Boltgun is the perfect style of game for the 40k IP. I just found in the past, all of the games that have been set in the 40k universe just haven't really grabbed me. I've played a lot of Dawn of War, I've played Fire Warrior, I've played a lot of the other games set there. I've even played some weird DS title that kind of really suck. But Warhammer 40k Boltgun just works so well. And the reason why I think it works so well is this game just allows you to cause as much carnage as possible. It's grim, it's dark, and it's bloody. And the benefit of the retro FPS style is that you just have to kill everything that moves. And that fits in super well with the 40k IP. If anyone is on the planet that you're on, they are a heretic, so you get to kill as much as possible. There are no civilians in Boltgun. So today we're going to be talking about Warhammer 40k Boltgun, why I love it, why I think it's one of the better 40k games, and whether you should play it today. Boltgun is a retro FPS game set in the 40k universe where you get to play an ultramarine gunning down cultists, chaos space marines, and a plethora of demons. When I saw this game, I was super excited because I was like, hey, this is one of my favorite styles of games. I grew up kind of playing games like Blood, Doom, Wolfenstein, all those kind of games. And when I saw that they had made a game in one of my favorite IPs, in my favorite style, I was like, I am so stoked to play this. The reason why this video has taken so long is because every time I play this game, I kind of get into the mindset of doing 40k. So I'll go away and I'll build a box of models that I have in my backlog, and then that will take up all the time that I should have been playing and editing this game. And I think that's a really good indication of how well they've integrated the IP of 40k into this retro FPS. I find myself getting lost in this iteration of 40k. I really think that the retro FPS style in this kind of weird pixely graphics really suits 40k super well, mainly probably because I love games like this, and also when I started playing 40k and video games, those two things were not retro. Every game kind of looked like this when I first started playing 40k, so I got a heap of nostalgia playing this, and 40k is one of those loves that I have and have had since I was a very small kid, and this just kind of gives me all the nostalgia, so I absolutely love this. One of my favorite things that I found with Boltgun straight away is the absolute amount of love they've given to the retro vibe of the game. When you jump in the retro tab, you can turn on and off all the old school retro stuff. You can make it more pixely to make it look even more like an old school 90s shooter. Or you can put it up to like retro palette so everything looks kind of washed out and gross, and then add all the damn pixels and it looks absolutely fantastic. Or you can do neither and just have it look really nice. But I prefer to have it just kind of set like as is, as they meant it to be. It's definitely pixely when you play the game, and I really like that. I really like the vibe that they've given this. I really like this game because they've kind of put a lot of effort into making it feel old school and making it feel like Warhammer 40,000, and I think that is a huge benefit, and it's basically what I've been looking for in a 40k game forever. So for me personally, I love the Warhammer 40,000 universe, and I think that that makes a huge difference on this game, and that's going to put everything through a bit of a rose-tinted lens. I kind of played through this and got excited every time I saw a new enemy, because I was like, ha! I get to kill a Nurgling! Ha! I get to kill a Terminator! Or more accurately, it was kind of like, holy shit, there's a Terminator, how am I meant to kill that? So there's a lot of cool stuff here that I really enjoy, and I think if you're well-versed in the Warhammer 40k universe, this will be absolutely amazing. You know, the biggest thing for me is the setting and the kind of interweaving of like weird Warhammer 40k lore into a Doom-style game. Like, weapons have the same strength as they should in the tabletop version of the game. Enemies have the same toughness as they should have in the tabletop game. And just random cool little lore things like pink horrors when die turn into 2 blue horrors, which, I mean, that's a weird lore nerdy thing, but I think it's really cool that they went to this kind of high level of detail. And obviously the people at the helm of this game have a lot of love for Warhammer 40k, or at least there is one person there who knows what they're talking about, and I think that has made this game absolutely amazing. And because they've nailed the vibe of Warhammer 40k so well, everything feels fantastic. The weapons feel really intuitive to use. I personally just, when I first got the bolter, I was so excited. I was like, oh, this is an actual bolter. When you fired it, it felt like what a bolter should do in lore. And I think that's one of the coolest things about this game is everything feels lore and even tabletop appropriate. The bolter feels amazing. You can just wreck shit with it, but you can't wreck everything. Like Terminators don't take as much damage from a bolter as they do from a plasma gun, which I think is such a cool little inclusion because, you know, Warhammer 40,000 is like that. It's granular. It's gross. You got to sit there for hours studying all this shit because you're a nerd. Whereas this, it feels like it does all that for you, and it's super fantastic. The guns feel tactical. You have to kind of pick the right gun for the right job. You don't try and kill a Space Marine with a shotgun, but you can kill cultists with a shotgun. Every weapon has a strength value, and every enemy has a toughness value. And you have to kind of match those to see what works the best against everyone. So, for example, the shotgun has a strength of 3. So it is most effective against toughness 3 and below enemies. You have to use the right weapon for the right job. So the weapon you actually start off with is the chainsword. And I absolutely love the chainsword because I love chain weapons. I absolutely love chain weapons. And one of my favorite armies in the 40k universe that I've collected for over a decade is the World Eaters. And they love their chain axes. So getting access to a chainsword, which is actually incredibly fun to use, is so fantastic. With the chainsword, basically what you can do is you can slow down time and jump to enemy, just absolutely revving the shit out of your chainsword and turning them into giblets. I really like this because it just feels so much fun to do. You almost get kind of pushed into using the chainsword, and it puts yourself at risk because you can jump into combat with things that you probably shouldn't do, like Terminators or aspiring champions with their own chain axes. But just the enjoyment that you get out of just revving your chain axe repeatedly in their face is so fantastic. And I think that's something they've done super well in Boltgun, is not only have they made the guns feel fantastic, they've made the chainsword feel super fun, and actually, I find myself using it way more than I probably should be. And I think that goes to show how well the chainsword is designed, that I just want to throw myself into combat with everything I can find and chop them into little pieces. The other combat attack that you get is a charge attack, where you jump forward, bashing all the enemies out of the way, and kind of getting a little bit of a speed boost at the same time. I didn't really find myself using it that much, but it is kind of cool because it slows time a little bit when you jump in and things get thrown in all sorts of random directions. And you can kind of have some fun shenanigans doing it. In addition to the guns, you also have grenades. You have the classic frag and crack grenades, which do have different profiles, and I haven't really looked into them that much. I just kind of throw them at anything that moves, and if it blows it up, then I'm happy. And you also have access to the vortex grenade, which opens a hole to the warp, which does just insane amount of damage. Does feel like your character is a little OP, but I think that that works super well with the retro FPS style. Currently where I'm up to in Boltgun, I've killed multiple Lords of Change and heaps of other things that I really shouldn't be killing as just a ordinary Ultramarine. However, I just find it doesn't really matter that much, and it just kind of plays well with the game that you're just like this super duper Ultramarine that just can kick ass somehow. And the game just feels kind of fantastic, so it don't really care that much that it doesn't feel super tabletop accurate in that sense. The other main thing that kind of sets this in the genre of retro FPSs is you get weapon power-ups. You get like super cool stuff. Sometimes you'll pick up different bolts that go in your bolt gun, and I think that's actually super cool. The first time I picked them up, I was like, holy crap, we've got Kraken bolts now. My bolt gun does more damage against armored targets, and I really like the flavor that they've done with the upgrades. Sometimes you get some other ones which slow time and make you super awesome, and I just think that they really add to the flavor nicely. Combat in Boltgun is absolutely frantic, and that's probably the best way to have one of these games. Is it feels like you're constantly running around, jumping over enemies, trying to blast them and escape everything that they're throwing at you. And I think that that's where these games really do shine. They're fantastic when you're running around, frantic action, and it's not so good when you're just standing there doing nothing. Warhammer 40k Boltgun does not hold your hand. It throws you straight into the action and basically gives you no real information of how to do things. I think it tells you how to rev your chainsword when that's the only weapon that you have. Wait, whoa, 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 whoa! Press V. Heretics! Die! You run around collecting armor and health, and you kind of just figure it out as you go along. The only real information you get is through tooltips in the loading screens. And I actually really like this because it kind of just lets you do whatever you want, and it kind of lets you figure out stuff on your own. I would say, however, if you didn't have a background in Warhammer 40k, then maybe some things would be a little confusing, like the weapons not, you know, doing as much damage to other things. But there are indications on the screen, like the bolt gun is strength 4, and you can see the enemies when you hover over them, what their toughness is. I think it is kind of intuitive in that way. One of the other things that I always look for in games is the soundtrack. The soundtrack in this game is surprisingly fantastic. It's got these really interesting, you know, the opening titles are like, you know, your classic feel that you would get for anybody who likes Warhammer 40,000. It's basically like heavy guitars, drums, just craziness. And then when you're actually in the game, you've got this like weird eeriness, which I really like. I think that the soundtrack really does set the mood super well, and I think that always really helps in making you feel like you're in the game. The immersion's really good here because it feels like what I expect Warhammer 40k to sound like. I love that there's such a variety of enemies in this game. There's cultists, there's different varieties of cultists. There's ones with heavy stubbers, auto guns, plasma guns, and you have cultist champions. You have space marines with bolters, space marines with power axes, all sorts of craziness. And then we jump into the minutiae of demons, and we get pink horrors, blue horrors, flamers, exalted flamers, screamers, blah, blah. There is so much here. And this is me only really scratching the surface. Everything seems to be just well fleshed out. There's a lot of enemies, and there's just hours of fun to have in this game. And I'm just in love with it. I really like the variety of enemies. I really like the variety of weapons, and I really like the gore. One of the things that's kind of changed since I've come back and revisited Boltgun, since my original recording of my review, is I've kind of changed my thought process on the story of Boltgun. When I first played this, I thought, the story's just kind of meh. It's just kind of your average grimdark 40k story, and that I kind of didn't really care that much. But as I've progressed further through the game, I can see the story is interwoven in the levels, not to be super obvious, but to just give it nice flavor and kind of push you along through the game. I didn't find myself playing this game to finish the story, but I liked it that there was the flavor through the levels, and I think that that is a really nice way of doing things. It's really subtle, but I actually enjoyed the story of Boltgun, and that's saying something when it comes to these style of games. I normally don't care. I just want to go in and absolutely blast my way at any enemy that I can find. I wasn't really expecting them to put heaps of detail into the story for this, so just having it like kind of interwoven nicely is a nice change. You're not going to play Warhammer 40k Boltgun for the story. This game really shines with the gameplay. The story kind of comes second, and I think that is the case with a lot of retro FPSs. Boltgun has the classic vibe that you get from a Doom clone, and really that's what I was looking for. So I think if anyone is coming in thinking it's going to be some refined game, then you're not getting what you pay for here. I really think 40k works so well in this style of game. I really like the kind of gritty, pixely vibe that you get from the environments in this game. I like that the game is just kind of completely doesn't take itself too seriously. And I think that that works super well with 40k because 40k is stupid, it's absolutely over the top, and this game gets all those things super right. The environments in the game look absolutely fantastic, and basically what I would have expected them to look like if this was the 40k universe. It's all gothic. It's all cursed and chaosy. There's like, you know, dead people everywhere. There's bits of demons. There's posters. There's banners of chaos, weird purple stuff, blood everywhere, and everything seems to be in the right place. Nothing really seems to be out of place. One thing I will say about the game aesthetics is that they have executed the pixel retro vibe amazingly well. And it took me ages to actually notice some of the things that they've done, like the 2D sprites that they've used in the game. Probably like 5 or 6 hours to actually notice that these sprites are 2D, and that if you look down on top of them, they're just a flat, they're 1 pixel. And I think that's really awesome that they've done that so well. When I remember playing Project Warlock, you could tell straight away that everything was just a flat sprite. Whereas in this game, they've done it so well that you don't really tell, but you still get that kind of awesome retro experience. And I think that that is really awesome. So should you play Warhammer 40k Boltgun today? Yes, the answer is simple. The combination of absolutely awesome integrated IP with awesome gameplay and just the amount of fun that I had with this. Like, I think either one of those points would give me a reason to be like, nope, you need to play this today. The amount of fun I've had with this game is immense. Every time I play it, I'm smiling ear to ear, just absolutely blasting my way through whatever comes my direction. And I think that that's where these games kind of shine. You just can blast everything into bits. It's not meant to be a serious game. This is not meant to make you feel things apart from just, hell yeah, I'm blasting the shit out of stuff. And Boltgun delivers that fantastically. So if you like Warhammer 40k, you like retro FPSs, this game is a no-brainer. If you made it this far through the video, you're awesome. And I blurred the shit out of my camera when I did that. But yeah, I actually loved playing this, and I'm still playing this right now. So I hope that you guys get some insight from this. If you guys want to play this game, go pick it up on GOG or Steam. Doesn't really matter. It's pretty cheap, I think. And if you want to see more of me, there'll be some videos around here somewhere. I don't know where I'm putting them, but I think it's here, I guess. But if you want to see more, I do gameplay videos and I do reviews, and that's pretty much it. Anyways, thanks for being awesome as always, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.